watching Breakfast with the Bishop, and I am Bishop Eveline Davis, and I'd like to extend to each and every one of you a happy Valentine's Day. I thought today that I would speak concerning marriage in the Christian family, since today is Valentine's Day, and I want to talk about also marriage from the perspective of after retirement. Want to reiterate this. I've discussed marriage in a couple of other series in the past, and I just want to reiterate a couple of things. That first of all, marriage is a covenant. There are unlimited responsibilities in marriage that cannot be broken if circumstances do occur, and they do occur. That the vow that you made at the wedding or a day that you said to each other, God expects you to honor those vows. Marriage also is permanent. God never intended for it to be an institution where you will go in initially with the intent, if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to stay in this. That's why it's essential. I've said before that you should fast and pray, consult leaders that you can trust, as well as go into counseling and accept the advice that is given to you before you go into the marriage. The vow that you make, we see repeatedly where people are standing at the altar and they're making vows to one another, and they are not keeping those vows. They are justifying almost anything that they're doing in the marriage as a reason to come out of the marriage. I wanted to do this because I feel that the vow is important. I've been married for 38 years, and sometimes I reminisce about that day, June 5th, when I was standing at the altar before God and the people that were there, as well as my husband, and I remember those things that I said, and at the time I said it from the bottom of my heart and have tried to honor those vows that I made. This is what the vow says. It's two parts I'm going to read. It gives a person's name, and this is for the woman. For the man, actually. Do you solemnly agree before God and these witnesses to take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife, to love and respect, honor and cherish her in health and in sickness, in prosperity and in adversity, and leaving all others, to keep yourself only unto her, so long as you both shall live? Now, I believe that the divorce rate is as high as it is because we've forgotten the vows. The content of those words, we don't honor those words, and therefore we find ourselves in a divorce court. Now, that portion of the vows is also for the man as well, but there's another portion. It says, will you please join hands and repeat the following lines after me? I, whatever the person named, I, Jim, takes Maria to be my wedded wife, and I do promise and covenant, and this is with unlimited responsibilities before God and these witnesses, to be your loving and faithful husband, as in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. And so when I look at the divorce rate and look at marriages today, young people all the way up to older people, we have forgotten the vows, and I believe that the church should be the forerunner, continue to go back. Periodically I go back and I look at what I used to do, and I want to talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes, but you need to go back and look at one of the things that you should do in marriage is to share with one another. Sharing many kinds of things, problems that you have, things that you like to do in life, sharing the substance that you receive yourself. Sometimes in marriage you have couples who feel like this is my money and this is your money, and everybody is different and you do things a different way. But in my family, in my husband and our relationship, we started initially from the day that we got married. He said to me, this is our money, and he gave me the money and said to me these words: as long as you don't mess the money up, you can continue to get as much as you want and what you need, and take care of the responsibility of the house itself. Marriage is a commitment. You're committed to this one person. Sometimes people are engaged and they're shopping around It is a stage, a process, or the beginning of right before the marriage that you should be totally committed to that person. You should have already finished shopping, and you should have already decided this is the person that the Lord has given me. Now, initially, we were taught in the church that we should pray and ask God for our spouse. It is not the woman who should be looking, but the man should be looking. It is woman's responsibility to look good, as far as I'm concerned. You're to put yourself in a place where you will be appealing, and God can say, this is the woman here for you. But in spite of, you should keep yourself in such a way that God can direct a man to find you. I think the commitment in every way is important. That you are planning and you're demonstrating that you care only for this individual. You should also consult your pastor. If you trust your pastor to lead you spiritually, you should be able to trust him when it comes to helping you with the individual counseling that you should receive when you're preparing to get married. Also, I think that it doesn't hurt to get advice from married people who have a track record of having a great marriage, and they can also give you some advice. When I look at and I thought about Valentine's Day, and I thought about marriage, and I'm very grateful. I said this recently to someone. I'm so glad that I waited on God to send me the man that I needed. I looked at my husband as someone at that time, but God saw him in years down the road, that when it came to the time in my life, like now, in the retirement age that I am, my husband and I both are retired, and I needed someone that will, from the time of age 27 into the age now 65, that someone that will understand ministry in my life. And I thank God for my spouse. We are at this point in life where we're doing ministry together in a way that we've never done before. It was a period after the retirement. This is for those of you who are going to be retired and still married. We went through a transition. It was a transition period of doing something in our marriage, existing as a husband and a wife in a way that we had never done before. We both had worked, and we were like passing ships in the night. We would be together, but we were not together like we are now, 24/7. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't ready for the transition. I was used to going out because he worked in New York, and I could be going 6 hours doing whatever, going from one place to the other. And so when the time of retirement, he came home, I had difficulties, and we had to work our way through it. I'm going to say this, doing transition can cause people to get a divorce if you're not careful. During the transition, we realized that we were different. There were some things about us that was different that we didn't realize before because we were both working. But we did this. I prayed and he prayed, and we talked and we worked through it. God brought us through it. And so now there's this equilibrium that we both have. It was like a settling that God did in our spirit, that the Lord allowed us to see that we are to accept each other as we are now, not as we were when we were working or as we were younger. And we're different. We've coined this phrase. We talk about this, is that as far as our retirement is concerned, every day is Saturday for us. So we're always very busy. We're always doing something. Valentine's Day is every day with us. We had to look at some things like, what did we used to do before we got to this point? What are some of the things that we're not doing? So now we play. He chased me around the house, and I'm running around the house. He hugs me, he kisses me, he hugs me, he holds my hand. We sit down and we have long conversations about our future, talking about the children and our grandchildren, things that we like to do in ministry. And what we've done is actually revived some of the things that we used to do, which I think is giving longevity to our marriage. I thank God, as I said before, for the Lord has blessed us as a couple, and I have learned many things that I feel like that I can help others that who are young in marriage, or even some older ones. Sometimes we just think that I'm married and it's okay, but there's some things you need to do. Even the way you look. sometimes I'm not definitely not as thin as I was when I first got married. I probably weighed 90 pounds. I won't tell you how much I weigh now, but anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm learning to enhance what I have and working on it, trying to make it look better. So I want to say to you, marriage is ordained by God. It is a wonderful institution. I've said this several times to people over the years. I love being married. I love waking up every day and there is Michael Davis there, and he lets me know that he loves me throughout the day. I am grateful because he's taking care of me. I try to take care of him. I remember not only on birthdays to do things for him, he does the same. We do things for each other, and that's what marriage is about. Trying and striving to make each other happy. I want to say to you, I want you to continue to seek God. That this divorce rate that is in the church, you don't have to be a statistic. You can be an example of a marriage that God has ordained. In the meantime, I want you to remember to pray for Bishop Evelyn Davis. And as I often say, bon appetit.